the spelling and everything of Chief Ursitti?
No, but if we can get it on camera, because I'm not doing it. Do you think we can get it?
Yeah, or I can give it to you right now.
Okay, I'll send it in.
Maybe just on the microphone so our stations get it?
Oh, we're going to a different area.
Sure.
Oh, it's,
That's on you.
That doesn't mean they read it.
yeah, I'll send it, I'll send it right to the.
Why didn't you get the name?
You give a journalist way too much credit.
I just saying, I was in journalism school.
We do it all day long.
Okay.
It's A-M-T-O.
Doesn't mean they read it.
Thank you. No, I don't know. No, I got it. Ursitti, S-I-T-T-I.
Oh, I know. I know about it. Jim, you looked up to there has been assembled. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just note that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Good to know if it'll work.
Hillary, Miss Julie.
You guys good to go?
Yeah, I'm driving.
You guys good on Facebook?
Right.
Yeah.
Something like, I don't know, kind of, it looked like that when I got the picture, the angle. So I was like, what's going on?
You all ready? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Antoinette Ursitti, Chief of the Bureau of Detectives. I'm joined here by Deputy Chief Kevin Bruno, Commander of Area 1 Detective Division Nikki Watson, and members of the Area 1 Detective Division. Nearly 2 years ago, on September 30th, 2022, 3-year-old Mateo Zastra was shot and killed following a road rage incident while riding in a vehicle driven by his mother in the 4400 block of West Marquette Road. His 3 siblings were also in the vehicle during the shooting, and thankfully they were not physically injured. Today, we charged 32-year-old Giovanni Hernandez with 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, and 1 count of murder with a strong probability of death or injury. Detectives who responded to the shooting scene canvassed for evidence, surveillance video, and witnesses. For the first 2 months following the shooting, detectives and members of the Area 1 Technology Center worked to interview witnesses and gather both physical and digital evidence. Detectives recovered the vehicle involved in the shooting on October 27th, 2022. DNA evidence from the vehicle was submitted, and a combined DNA index system, or CODIS, hit came back in August 2023. Detectives continued working to secure the evidence needed to arrest Hernandez. This included additional witness interviews, phone records, and search warrants for digital data. Hernandez was taken into custody yesterday on July 16th, 2024 by the Area 1 Homicide Investigating Support Team, and charges were approved today. Since the day of the shooting, the Area 1 detectives have worked to bring justice in this case. Justice for a grieving mother who should be watching her son grow up. Justice for 3 young children who are growing up without their brother. Justice for Mateo, an innocent 3-year-old who didn't deserve this. The detectives combed through evidence, followed leads, and never gave up on this case. When our new homicide team structure rolled out this year, it allowed the investigating detectives to continue dedicating more time to this case. Every investigation involving the loss of life is difficult, but it's even more emotionally taxing when it involves a child. We never forgot Mateo or his family. I want to commend the Area 1 detectives for everything they put into this case and the work they did to apprehend this violent offender who for 2 years, cowardly, went on with his life while Mateo's family lived with the trauma of his loss and this shooting. I also want to recognize our Area 1 Family Liaison Office, who during the course of this investigation reached out to Mateo's mom to provide compassionate support as she endured the additional burden of knowing her son's killer was still out there. I know every single day since September 30th, 2022 has been filled with questions about how this could happen. While we know this will not bring Mateo back, we hope this brings a measure of closure. I will now take a few questions.
Can you embellish a little bit on how these circumstances?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Embellish a little bit on how he was taken in. Thank you. Natalie Martinez, NBC.
Taken into custody. As a result of having a positive identification on him, they were able to locate him exiting a residence. He was on the street in Berwyn when he was taken into custody.
Jewel Hillary with WGN. Do you have any information that you can share more about the road rage incident from September 30th, 2022? Like who was involved with that? Was the family at all a part of that?
We do believe that the mother was the target of the shooting, and it was a dispute, a traffic altercation, exactly as you described it, road rage.
And when you say she was the target of the shooting, so the individual who is now in custody, is it allegedly he was trying to attack her?
Correct.
Is there a connection between him and?
There's no relationship between the two.
Mary Beth Gonzalez, CBS News. What can you tell us about Giovanni Hernandez, his background, his background?
You know, more is going to come out throughout court. We do have records indicating his involvement in the criminal justice system, but we'll let more come out in court on that.
Kate Coheran with ABC in Chicago. You mentioned that the DNA evidence came back in August 2023. What was it that really kind of solidified Giovanni as the prime suspect in this case?
Well, I'm going to have to again commend the team that you see up here, and there's even more from this team. It is truly a team effort here. And there were a lot of aspects here. To work our way back those earliest days, and you'll hear this in most of our announcements when we're talking about charges, our Area Technology Center just does so much to provide leads at the earliest part of this. And that really helped our detectives be able to ultimately identify and narrow their focus. Then, of course, when the DNA hit comes back and you're able to identify someone that you believe is a suspect, again, there's so much more that goes into having to actually present a very complete and full case in court. So I think the one thing that we didn't emphasize enough, and I really want to always recognize the role of community members, for witnesses, for people who are willing to talk with our detectives and our officers, because ultimately you're going to need those kinds of statements and the information that only they would have to substantiate and have the strongest case possible. So I'm going to say all three of those aspects are what helped us identify and ultimately charge him.
Sure. Does anybody speak Spanish? For our television station? It's no big deal. Okay, that's enough. I know that a lot of us are parents, a lot of you are parents. When you deal with these cases, it's always great to bring some closure in some sense. But when you're dealing with a toddler, with a 3-year-old, it must feel even a little bit better. Can you talk about personally how that makes you feel to kind of close a case like this, or come to this kind of solution?
Sure, and again, I always have to say what an honor it is to speak on behalf of the work. When we do these press conferences, you are looking at the men and women who go home after what they have to hear and after what they have to see. And I know you're asking specifically about children and the experience for being a parent when you see that. But that is the reality, because every single case that these men and women get they approach and they attack it the same way. But we always say, and we understand, it is more taxing when you realize that it's a child. So certainly I'm not going to be able to speak to the experience of every one of these members, but I am going to tell you, I think the way you can imagine with any kind of work that you've done, when you have worked tirelessly, when you have done it with purpose and meaning and understand what it is going to do for families. Of course, there's a great sense of relief at the same time, and we can never say this enough, it's only a small measure of closure, and I think that's the most painful part, is that nothing is going to bring Mateo back, nothing is going to bring any one of these members back, but the pain when families are walking around knowing that someone did this to someone that they care about and love, and to know that you had a role in being able to take that person off of the street, to make sure that they don't do this to another family and to another community. It's incredible, and I honestly cannot praise and say enough about what our detectives are doing. And, of course, the other thing I have to say is we always look at this through the lens of the wellness of our members, and we appreciate the sacrifices that they make and the things that they have to do to keep themselves performing the way that they're performing.